the greatest heavyweight and the greatest cruiserweight of our generation, the pride of Ukraine, one of the bravest men that we have ever seen, and one of the nicest, most charismatic characters in our sport, the great, the powerful, the legendary Oleksandr Usyk. You know, I can't believe that Usyk is actually giving Daniel Dubois this opportunity again. Because if you actually think about it, can Usyk really get better from his past few performances? I don't think so. I think the man is nearly 40 years old. I believe he's either 38 or 39 years old. And on the other hand, you have the 27-year-old powerhouse in Daniel Dubois that is coming to end the reign of Oleksandr Usyk. And I do believe that this is simply Daniel Dubois' time. And just because, let's just say that Dubois knocks out and beats Usyk, which I believe he will, but let's just say if he manages to pull off the upset, that doesn't make him automatically greater than Usyk when it comes to boxing history, when it comes to legacy. He still has a lot of work to be done in order for him to have the legacy of the legendary Oleksandr Usyk. But if you actually think about it, is Usyk really this invincible fighter? In his prime, when he was at his best, I believe that he lost to Derek Chisora, and I believe that second Anthony Joshua fight was very, very close, and both Tyson Fury fights were razor thin. And even the Bradis fight, if you actually go back and watch it, you can make a case for the fight being a draw, or even, I mean, you can definitely say that Usyk won, but you can also make the case for Bradis or for a draw. So it's not like we're talking about this invincible man that is untouchable and undefeated. He's been hurt many times throughout his career, and he's had exceptionally close fights, and especially that first fight versus Daniel Dubois. In my opinion, I believe there is absolutely no doubt and no controversy. Daniel Dubois knocked him out to the body, and Usyk stayed down on the ground for nearly 5 minutes. When you get dropped, you only get 10 seconds to get up. 8 seconds if you actually think about it. But Usyk was on the ground for nearly 5 minutes, 4.5 minutes. So I don't believe that there's any question about it. I don't care what the ref says. I don't care what the fans say. I have my own eyes, and I have my own perspective. And if you actually take your emotions out of the equation and just watch that shot, that devastating body shot, it was a body shot. So Usyk is far from invincible, but the man is so smart, and what makes him so special is his discipline outside the ring and his feints inside the ring. He exhausts you from his feints up and down. He feints with his eyes, with his hands, with his hips, with his feet. The man feints with everything. So automatically you're just reacting to Usyk. You're just reacting to Usyk's feints, and that takes a lot of energy out of you. And that is why we see most Usyk opponents, they gas out after the 8th or 9th round. For example, basically all of his opponents. For example, Joshua, Fury. But in that Dubois fight, in that first Dubois fight, this is going to be a completely different fight, because Dubois wasn't really that aggressive in that first fight. But this time, this new Daniel Dubois, this lion, he was a baby when he fought Usyk, even though it was 2 years ago, but he was, if you want to say he's a lion now, he was a cub back then. He was a baby lion, but now he is not only a lion, but a monster, and possibly the best heavyweight on the planet. Now, he's going to get a shot to prove that he is the best. But also, you got to consider the circumstances. First time it was in Usyk's backyard, even though Usyk is Ukrainian, but the fight was in Poland, and the entire stadium was with Usyk, and the referee was with Usyk. But in this fight, it is going to be in Daniel Dubois' backyard, Wembley Stadium, Daniel Dubois' gym. When you exit Daniel Dubois' gym, you can see Wembley Stadium right in front of you. So not only is he fighting him in his backyard, but he's fighting him literally at his home. He's fighting him at his home, at the place where he became an absolute superstar, where he knocked out Anthony Joshua. Dubois' last fight was at Wembley Stadium. Dethroned Anthony Joshua. No one gave him a chance. I certainly did. I predicted that Dubois was going to knock out Joshua in the first round, and he was this close to knocking him out in the first round. And how special, yes, we all acknowledge how special Usyk is, but how special is Daniel Dubois to have done all these things and to have risen to the top and the pinnacle of the heavyweight division in one of the best eras in modern history at just 27 years old. And look at him now, found his way back versus Usyk. And the difference between the first and second fight now, Dubois is going to be more aggressive, more dangerous. In that first fight, Dubois wasn't his normal self. One, because he never fought outside of his home. That was the first time him traveling to Europe, and he did his camp in Spain. This time he's doing his camp in his home in London, and he's fighting in London. This is a completely different game. And I predict that Daniel Dubois is gonna knock out Oleksandr Usyk. But if Usyk actually wins this fight, even though he's a big favorite, my God, you might as well put him up there with the greatest to ever do it. The man is born on the same day as Muhammad Ali. The man has the same height as Muhammad Ali, weighs the same, has the same reach. So if he actually wins, because if he's going to win this fight, I don't think he's going to win by decision. Dubois is going to be so aggressive, and he's going to push the action that someone is getting knocked out. Either it's going to be Dubois or either it's going to be Usyk. And I do believe that Daniel Dubois, everything is set for him. The stars are aligning for Dubois to shock the world and knock out the great Oleksandr Usyk.